Good morning and happy Saturday. My name's Michelle and I'm with Olive Two Ewe Studios, typically here every Saturday morning at 9:30 in the morning live. So if you're around and love to watch a high energy, super fun podcast all about yarn and knitting and crocheting and all the things, then you are definitely in the right place. If you happen to be watching later, welcome to you as well. That's the beauty of YouTube or TV land in internet land, is that you can watch anytime at your convenience. So welcome to you as well. And we are here every Saturday, as I mentioned, typically. So if you haven't already done so, I invite you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you get notified anytime we go live or anything is posted to the channel. So good morning, everybody. I see some of our Yarny Ewes showing up live this morning. Katrin's here, Dion's here, Pam is here. Hi, Judy is here. Michelle is here. Deborah's here. I love it. Anne and Dion and Julie and Tracy. All the people are turning up. It's our birthday. Yay. Happy 8 years to Olive Two Ewe Studios. Good morning, Valera. Good to see you as well. It's 8 years. It's hard to believe that. Yes, we are very mature for an 8-year-old, I have to say, at Olive Two Ewe Studios. And we're so excited to still be here 8 years later. Wow. What a lot of changes we've been through. And in some ways, I think it's like almost like a marriage anniversary. Like you feel like in some ways it was just yesterday, and in other ways it's been 100 years, but all in the best ways. So many changes, so many things have happened over the years, and we are incredibly grateful for them all, because it is through those changes, through the ups and downs of life, that you tend to grow. I personally have a philosophy that crisis breeds growth, and we haven't had many crises. It's not about crises, but it's change. And there's always changes on the horizon when you're in business. So I'm grateful for all of the growth that we've experienced over the year. And in particular, for the explosion and growth of our Yarny Ewes Facebook group, which has just grown by leaps and bounds over the years. We've picked up new folks online. We've picked up people from fiber festivals we've been to, India Untangled, Fiber Fun in the SIP, other events we've done, Distaff Day, of course, Yarn Lounge, and then by people just randomly finding us on the internet. I know many of our Yarny Ewes found us during the pandemic, during our virtual Yarn Lounge. So we're so grateful for the continual growth, and we're still growing by leaps and bounds in our Yarny Ewes Facebook group. So let me just put a plug in there as well. If you have not already joined the Yarny Ewes Facebook group, you are really missing out on something special, because our Yarny Ewes are some of the most fantastic, supportive, kind people you will find on the internet. And the beauty of it is that everybody is there to help and support you through your crafting life. If you have questions or you need help or a little encouragement, the Yarny Ewes are definitely there to do it. So we always invite you to do that. It's a great space. There's no politics, no drama. And that's a really beautiful thing, especially in today's world. So good morning, Billy and Lydia and Tish. Good to see you all coming on as well. So I say it every week without pause, and I need to stop saying it, but we've got so much to get to today, and I'm super excited about it all. I have to tell you, it was kind of funny when I was kind of getting everything set up this morning. I looked and I was like, oh gosh, that like hat above me almost looks like it's on top of my head, but not quite. I can't make my up. That almost works, but not quite. So anyway, I've got one to show you up close in just a minute. But so first of all, we're going to be celebrating all month long. Sherry and Terry of Lonesome Pine Yarn Works, who does the exclusive dye work behind the Olive Two Ewe Studios brand, has got some amazing things up their sleeve for this month in terms of colorways and fun things that they'll be releasing, will be releasing. And so you definitely want to keep your eyes peeled every week for the colorways and products coming out, because they're pretty darn special. And the neat thing about them is that they all play nicely in the sandbox together. So it's a great way to know that if you grab all the things, you'll have a perfectly complementary palette for your next project or perhaps a project down the road. So we're going to get started with the first colorway of that series in just a moment. But I also wanted to mention, because today is a big day for another reason, and that is because today begins our super summer sweater make along with the Beautifully Basic tee. I happen to be wearing a Beautifully Basic tee right now. What a shock. What a surprise. Are we all surprised? I have a wardrobe of like 6 or 7. I really should count them so I don't have to say 6 or 7. So I know the exact number, but they're great to grab when you don't know what else to wear or you need something that's really versatile. And so they're easy for me to grab. Now that we've made all of my hand knits in particular drawers, so I know exactly where to go reaching for a hand knit. But this was my first Beautifully Basic tee. In fact, the very first one that I knit. You may recall that the pattern was written by Melissa Kemmerer for Nomadic Knits, the very first edition. That's Olive Two Ewe yarn right there that appeared in Nomadic Knits, because that was the yarn that was used to design the pattern. So how cool is that? I love it so much. So today is the kickoff for the Beautifully Basic tee Super Summer Sweater Make Along. And I'm very excited about that because we have got a really nice mix from what I have seen in the Yarn to Use Facebook group, a nice mix of people who have done more sweaters in the past, who are not new to sweater knitting. And then we've got some folks for whom this will be their first sweater. And over the years, I have really highly recommended this as the perfect first sweater to start with because of the techniques that are used in the pattern. So you can focus on garment construction as opposed to having to focus on learning a slew of new techniques. And I love that about it because it really lets you focus on that, get a handle on it. And when you're done with this particular pattern, you'll be ready to move on to another garment, another sweater pattern, and have a little more headspace for learning some new techniques that are sometimes employed in the knitting of a sweater. So perfect pattern for that. We've got a nice mix in the Yarn to Use. Again, plenty of support, plenty of help there. And speaking of support and help, I have committed to providing a video every single week of our Super Summer Sweater Make Along for you right here on the YouTube channel. So that's another great reason to go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell so you can get notifications when those videos are posted. Now, the first video will be posted this week. And as I've mentioned before, and I want to be really clear about, these are not tutorial videos. Like, I'm not going to take you up close, step by step, through each and every technique that you're going to need to knit this sweater. What I am going to do is provide more of a commentary for you on my progress on the sweater, a little bit about the techniques, mention the techniques, and my observations of using those techniques to give you some insight into making your decisions and your plans as you continue to knit along with me. I hope that makes some sense. So in fact, I have cast on my sweater. I'm going to show you my cast on. I love this. This is one of my favorite little bags. This is the Coco Knits little washable paper bag, and I love it. You can see I've got one of my favorite little enamel pins on it, but these are great bags. I think we have some in the shop right now. We've always sold out of them when we've had them typically in the past. So I've cast on and it's here, and you might be like, wow, Michelle, you're not very far along. No, I'm not, but that was intentional. I've actually wanted to knit more on it, but I have prevented myself from doing so. You'll see I've got my little Highland Coo stitch markers on there. I love them because we're getting ready for our next trip to Scotland, of course. And I've also got a UK little stitch marker there. I love it so much. Can't wait for our trip. So I've cast on, and I haven't done very much because I wanted to preserve my early cast on rows so that I could talk about them on the very first video, because I've got some thoughts behind this and the way I do this particularly, and some thoughts behind it. So you can hear that cast on, and then we'll talk about the pattern in general this week as well. But yep, I've got cast on. I am using my Amber Solstice colorway. There it is. I love it so, so much. Again, it's not showing up accurately in terms of color on the camera right now, but it is a beautifully rich colorway with lots of depth and dimension to it. So I know some of you selected this colorway as well from the kits that we offered online, and others selected other kits. They're all equally beautiful. But I'm so excited. All my yarn is kicked up. Actually, not all of it. So I ordered 5 skeins, And historically, I order 5 skeins and I never use that last one, but I like the comfort of having that last one around so that if I do need it, I've got it. So I did cake up 4 of my hanks, not 5, because I don't like caking yarn too far in advance of when I'm going to use it. And if I don't end up using that 5th hank, then it'll just live in my stash, but I don't want it caked up because that does tend to stretch the yarn out a little bit. So there is my cast on for the Beautifully Basic Tee. When we get to our whip segment in just a bit, you'll see some other folks who have cast on and some other people who've made even more progress with it. So some of you are like done with your Beautifully Basic Tee. I love it. You've got time to cast on another one. So there it is right there. That's my cast on with all my pretty little things. I think that's one of the super fun things about knitting. I mean, there's the process of knitting, of course, is meditative and it's good for us and it's a lot of fun. As a friend of mine says when she makes a mistake and has to think back, yeah, but I like to knit, so it's not a bad thing. So that's one piece of knitting. But the other piece of it too, there's more than just one more beautiful, wonderful thing about knitting. But another piece that I love is getting to choose like my project bag, my stitch markers, my point protectors, and all the tools that go with it, because there's so many beautiful tools out there. So that's like gives me a dopamine boost in the beginning. Like, okay, I've got to cake my yarn, but I also get to choose all of my goodies that are going to make my experience really wonderful. So I like showing off like the bag and all the things because that's fun of it. That's part of the fun of it. So many of you, as I mentioned, have already cast on. If you haven't already cast on right now, that's okay. And some of you just ordered your kit yesterday, and that's okay too. So the kits are still available on the website, the kits in the, I believe, 4 colorways that we offered. And then some of you have also placed special orders for colorways that we did not immediately offer in the kits. And that's fine, because the rules of our make-alongs and knit-alongs are very simple. You don't have to have a finished object. You just have to have begun the process and be using a preponderance of Olive Two Ewe yarn. So that's it. So if you're watching right now, or you're watching in 2 weeks and you're like, oh man, I wish I'd gotten in on that, you still can. Kits are still available on the website. Sherry and Terry will get those dyed up as quickly as possible. Obviously, they're not going to be ready for today's cast on, but that's okay. And you can join in at any time. In fact, your very first post in the thread in the Yarn to Use can absolutely be, and has been for many folks, just a picture of the yarn they've selected. Sometimes they just take screenshots off of the website right after they place their order, and they're like, this is my yarn. And that's perfectly fine. The more times you post pictures, progress pictures, the more times you're entered to win. So it's an easy thing to do. And then at the end, we'll be selecting winners. And the grand prize is a $100 gift card to the Olive Two Ewe shop, which is pretty significant, I think. So a lot of fun happening with the Super Summer Sweater Make-Along. Of course, we have provided the links to purchase your pattern right in the listing. So maybe even if you're not going to snag a kit from us because you're going to use stash yarn or something, you can go to the listing, and there are 2 ways to purchase the pattern. You can elect to click the link that takes you to the digital copy of the first issue of Nomadic Knits, which was all based on Florida, in which Olive Two Ewe appeared in, and you can purchase it, the digital copy there. And the pattern is included in that. I think you get 9 total patterns in that magazine. Or the link is also provided to go over to Ravelry and look up Beautifully Basic Tee. It's a direct link actually to the pattern, and you can purchase it right there from Melissa Kemmerer, the designer at Nomadic Knits. On Ravelry. Or you can just simply, if you're not close and can't pick up the link, you can always just go over to Ravelry and search Beautifully Basic Tee, and it will come up right there for you. I do want to mention, Melissa has since changed the pictures on the pattern in Ravelry. So don't be dismayed. I just don't want you to be confused about it. So there are different pictures now than were there even just a little bit ago. So, but that is the pattern you're looking for. And there is in fact a DK version and a fingering weight version. So if you'd rather do it with DK yarn, you can absolutely do that. And also the pattern's been updated to provide a long sleeve alternative as well. So you get to choose. It's like a customize your own beautifully basic tee. But whatever you do, you will not be sorry because it's a great pattern. So I really highly encourage you. I know we've got some new sweater knitters in the group that's going to be doing it. And I'm very excited about cast on day. So it's great that it just kind of coincided with sort of the announcement of our birthday and all of that. Tara's here. Thank you so much, Tara. I appreciate that. Lonnie's here also wishing us a happy birthday. Thank you for that. Absolutely. We're so grateful. And some of you have been there with us from, so long ago. And we definitely know that. I meant to grab my calendar and I did not do it. So I mentioned this in the more informal kind of quick little shop update that I typically do on Thursdays in the Yarn to Use Facebook group. But if you purchase the 2025 calendar, the Olive Two Ewe calendar that was for sale at the end of last year, did I say 2022? 2025, man, my brain. The 2025 Olive Two Ewe calendar, then you definitely need to flip over to August if you're not already using it. And why aren't you? It's got pictures of beautiful yarn in it. There is something special for you there. It might be a little discount code, and it's only good for a limited time. And it's only available to our calendar holders as well. So if you've got that calendar, flip over to August and use your discount code. It's only good for a few more days. And I think you'll enjoy it because it is in celebration of our birthday. And you never know, there might be other things that come up throughout the month in celebration of the birthday. It's a whole month-long thing that we're going to be thinking about and doing. So I'm very, very excited about it. So hoorah! All right. Speaking of our birthday, let's talk about the very first colorway in the birthday series. I love it so much, and clearly you guys do too. Special orders are abounding for this. So this is Ewe Blue. It is a beautiful, beautiful blue. It's not showing up exactly true on camera in terms of the color, but if you go to our website, you'll see it. And it is linked down below in the shop in the products right now. But that is Ewe Blue. It's available on multiple bases, and it is a gorgeous tone-on-tone colorway, and it does have some of those tone-on-tone speckles. See those little speckles? I love those. I just think those add such interest and depth to a colorway, and this just glistens. Now, I'm showing it to you right now on our Rawlings base, which incidentally is our most popular base in the shop. Did you know that? So this is a fiber content that is superwash merino, silk, and cashmere, and it is absolutely luscious. So it has a sheen to it. It's got a really nice high twist, which adds to beautiful stitch definition, and it's got lovely hand and drape, which is the reason that I have always chosen it for my beautifully basic tees, because I don't like anything that clings to me. I don't like anything that shows my mature bumps and rolls, and this does nicely because it drapes really well over the body and skims the body in a really beautiful way. So that's why the Rawlings is my pick for the beautifully basic tee. I know some of you really love Twain, some like Play-Doh as a DK. So those are all available to you if they haven't sold out. I know we were getting kind of close on some of these. So yeah, and it's not exactly, Kim says it looks turquoise on camera. It's a little bit of a turquoisey blue. I will say it's not full on turquoise, but it's not exactly a true blue either. But it's just really a beautiful, rich colorway with a lot of depth to it. That's what I love about it. And caked up, of course, it looks a little bit different, which is why I've mentioned before, in some colorways, especially our tonals, you'll see lighter and darker areas of the hank. But the beautiful part about that is that when it's caked up, those are kind of separated out a little bit because you're seeing the totality of it in a loop, which means that it's the way it's dyed, right? So the lighter and darker colors are showing up with a bit more intensity than they do once they're caked and kind of spread out. So something to really, really think about, but it is Yeah, you get that gorgeous tonal quality. So that's Ewe Blue. So many of you have loved it. Like I said, I got a call the other day actually from a Yarn You who's like, I have to have that color. Like I had my color all picked out for the Beautifully Basic tee, and now I've decided I have to have this color. And so yeah, so we can absolutely do special orders for it. And Sherry and Terry, I mean, it's not going to be immediate. It does take time to dye, to prep the yarn, dye the yarn, dry the yarn, ship the yarn, all the things, but it'll definitely be to you long before the end of the Makealong. And again, no sweat. You can do the Makealong at any time. In fact, if you start a little late, you'll have a couple of the videos under your belt as well if you as you get ready to approach the pattern. So there's nothing wrong with starting a little bit later, but I still encourage you to post your colors in the thread so that can start counting towards your entries towards winning. Absolutely. So Dion says that she did her first BBT, Beautifully Basic Tee, on Dickinson because that was the yarn that was initially used. And that is really cool. We since actually moved away from Dickinson. We kind of phased that out because we found Rawlings and preferred it over Dickinson. And so that's why we kind of went to the Rawlings base. But Dickinson was also absolutely beautiful. So that's the very first colorway in this whole month-long birthday colorway celebration. And you don't want to miss it because there are other colorways, coming later in the month that you're going to be like, oh, that's going to look perfect with it, because it is. Because Sherry and Terry are fantastic color geniuses, and they have built a beautifully coordinated palette for you this month, all based on colors. We actually collaborated on it, and I asked them for something kind of special and gave them some clues as to kind of what I was interested in, would be super excited about, and they have absolutely delivered in a big way. So you don't want to miss it. All right. So Kim says maybe another BBT. Yeah, there's always room in your closet for another BBT because they're so incredibly versatile. I completely agree. Okay. No birthday is kind of complete without additional surprises. And I meant to prepare a slide for you and I failed to do so, but we have brand new bags in the shop right now that are stunning. I mentioned on Thursday in the Facebook group that I'd been watching these bags for a while and really, really loved them. And when I was able to get my hands on them for the shop, I was like, give me all the bags. So, except one of them was back ordered, but it's in progress right now. So the new Maika bags, I think that's how you pronounce it, Maika, are gorgeous. You may have been seeing those across social media for some time. That's where I first saw them, was on a Facebook ad several months ago. Fell in love with them. And then when I was able, like I said, to get them for the shop, I grabbed them. And they are just dripping in the colors of summer. So there are 3 different styles right now in the shop. There's a project bag that is kind of a more traditional project bag. You've got handles, you've got loads of pockets, absolutely gorgeous, a beautiful sort of canvasy material that's wonderful for what we put our bags through, right? Our project bags. And there's one that's like a beautiful, it reminds me of a cabana stripe, right? If you're at the beach or at a resort, it reminds me very much of a cabana stripe. It's in a sunny yellow and a lighter color, like a cream color. There is the project bag, and then there is a medium pouch that match on the yellow. Then you'll also notice there is a medium pouch in a beautiful cherry print that I absolutely swooned over. And there's a project bag coming for that. So if you love the cherries as much as I love the cherries, I recommend you snag that medium pouch now. And then the project bag will be here in a few weeks. And then you can grab that. And then you've got the matching set. And it just screams summer, and it screams happy, and all the things that you would expect at a birthday party. So I recommend you get those. And then the third style right now that's in the shop is a really great stash tote. It says stash on it. It's a cream color, and it's like a little basket, almost like a little tote basket that you can use for organization. I expect to get some here in the studio because I think they're perfect for kind of putting some yarn hanks in, and you can have that explosion of color, which means you can see it. It's really visible in your stash, and it's easily accessible. You can grab it and they say stash across it. So how perfect is that? Those are available right now on the site. I don't think they're going to last. So I recommend once again that you go ahead and get it maybe even during the broadcast or put it in your cart so you can try to get that as quickly as possible so you don't miss out on it. They're super cute. And so that's a great way to reward yourself during the birthday month also. So I love, love, love the Maika bags or Maika bags. I can never decide, like, what do you all think? Is it Maika with a long I or is it Maika with a long A? Tell me in the comments the way you pronounce it and what you think. All right. So we're going to get to whips in just a minute, but I want to talk about Solely Socks and about Play Ball. So Solely Socks is happening at Needleworks on September 6th, and we've got people signing up, and it's wonderful. It's going to be a lot of fun. It is a mini crank-in, so if you have a circular sock machine, you definitely want to bring it with you. And there'll be people that help. It's always so supportive of an environment when crankers or knitters get together. And we'll be doing that at Solely Socks. So there's a lunch option available. You can buy your concessions in advance and get some discounts on some yarn by buying it as a concession combo. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then Marjorie and Mary from M&M So Charming, they are my collaborative partners in this particular event. They're going to be there doing hobby dyeing. So they're going to be all set up. You're going to have the opportunity to dye skeins of yarn. This isn't going to be sock blanks. This is going to be skeins of yarn. Now, if you'd rather do a sock blank, you can let me know and we'll sub that for you. But the original intent is going to be skeins of yarn. So you can sign up to do that as well. And because they are hobby dyers extraordinaire, they get together on the regular and dye things, fabric and yarn and sock blanks and all the things, then they're going to share tips and tricks with you about how you can do that at home as well to create really custom items for your knitting, crocheting, or weaving, anything like that that you do. So sign up for that. And by popular request, because many folks are coming just to kind of like hang out for the day, which is wonderful. We've also set it up that you can just sign up for the yarn dyeing experience independent of anything else. So if you don't want like the tote bag or you don't want the lunch or anything like that, you can sign up just to dye yarn. So if you're in the area and you're local and you want to come hang out and just dye yarn, you can absolutely do that as well. And if you have questions, like you're like, well, I want to dye 4 hanks of yarn because I want to do my own sweater colors, I can make that happen. Just shoot me an email and we'll make that happen. But so far, it's really sort of evolving into, it's going to be a lot of fun, a little bit of a Yarn Ewe reunion, it looks like. Some Yarn Ewes who are local are going to be there. So if you're interested in hand knitting socks or you're interested in circular sock machines, even if you don't have one, but you're curious to see how they work, it's a great experience, a great time to do that. So that will be a lot of fun. Oh, Lydia. All right. Maika, it means dancing flower in Japanese. Thank you for looking that up. I should have done that. Thank you. All right. Now we all know. The more you know. I like it. Remember those things when we were kids on Saturday morning? The more you know. So it's Maika. I think that's how I said it on Thursday. So that was just dumb luck that I might have like landed into it right. So Solely Socks is on September 6th at Needleworks in Winter Park, Florida. Then, well, actually before that, on Friday, September 5th, is our Play Ball event, a home run beanie experience. So I said this on Thursday. Have you ever wondered what's inside of a baseball? We're going to find out together, and we're going to get started on some really cool baseball-inspired beanies. Now, this works for you, whether you're a knitter or a crocheter. There's a knit option and a crochet option. You've seen the hats. I'm going to show you one again. And when you sign up for this, you get to choose kind of your team colors. It is a rather complex listing. There's a lot of options available and a lot of ticket options. Standing room only means you get the box and you get to explore the box and the pattern on your own at home. Anything above standing room only means that you can either be there at the event in person, or you can be part of the Studio Stream X event, which is a live stream of the live event. So you'll be there in amongst the excitement on a virtual platform. It'll be Zoom, and you'll be able to be part of the energy and the fun of the event. So there are standing room only. There's bleacher tickets, and then there's the luxury box ticket. Each one is spelled out in detail in the listing, so you can choose the level that works for you, just like a baseball game. And as we're starting to get closer and sliding in towards the World Series, this is a great time to be doing this event. And as I've said before ad nauseum, it is the most innovative and unique event I think we've ever done. It too is in collaboration with M&M So Charming, and I'm grateful to them. And check out the little label here. You're going to get all kinds of super fun things in your box. But with Solely Socks and with the Play Ball event, the window on that to sign up is closing. It'll be closing very early Monday morning. We're going to close that up and get moving on the things so you can get your boxes in plenty of time and your colorways and all the neat things. So I recommend, if you've been on the fence, now's the time to do it. If you have been on the fence and you decide not to do it, you are so going to regret it. I'm just saying. And that's not just Michelle trying to sell you something. I'm just saying, I know that you're going to regret it. So if you love baseball, or you've got some people in your family that love baseball, it is really worth doing. And you're going to do some super fun things, and you'll enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. I want to get rolling with the whips because we've got some super summer sweater Makealong sweaters in the whips, and look at some of those BBTs. So let's go ahead and get started and get eyes on those. All righty, daddy. Let's see what's happening here. I'm going to start backwards. So Jill, she started up on casting on her beautifully basic tee. She's using Rawlings. She says it's great to work with. Looks like she was sitting out in some beautiful weather. She said it was a beautiful evening to cast on. And I love the cameo appearance here of the project bag from the Happy Summer Picnic box. Look at those watermelon. They look so juicy and good. Next up, Jamie finished up her Adriata. She was working on this during our virtual knit night this week, and it looks so good. Jamie's one of those super fast knitters. I am not, but she is. We've got some super fast knitters in the Yarny Use, and she got it all finished up. So this is a pattern by Joji Locatelli, and it looks so good on you, Jamie. What a great pattern to finish up for summer. Next up, Cheryl Guin. She started her stripe BBT in Rawlings. She said she just couldn't wait to cast on. So she wasn't able to get her hands on the number of hanks completely that she needed in that vine and velvet colorway, that beautiful green. So she went ahead and mixed them in some swan white with it, and it's going to look so good. She's actually applying her own stripes. And this is a great example of how you can customize the BBT. You can make it whatever you need it to be. And Cheryl is definitely doing it with hers this time around. Lonnie Holt's working on a Casapinka pattern, Hiss and Vinegar. She's using vintage Olive Two Ewe colors. And look at that lace. That's looking so good. Wow. When you block that, Lonnie, that's going to open up so beautifully. I love your color selections there. They look great together. Next up, Paulette is working on a Proserpina. I think I pronounced that right. Proserpina in the colorway, the Clever Cup. That also is a vintage Olive Two Ewe colorway. It's looking really, really good. Remember, the links to all of these patterns are down below in the show notes, so they're available for you right now. Tammy Smith, another pair of socks. She's another one of our sock knitters that does a lot of socks. Now, she actually based this loosely on the Evanesco pattern. And she's using an April Cancer colorway from Olive Two Ewe. And she's been using yak yarn for the toes to make it extra cozy. That looks super good as well. Another sock knitter, Tracy Ann, she knits a lot of socks. So she had an FO. She's using some leftover yarn and some minis, a great example of why it's so good to have minis in your stash. And she uses a vanilla sock pattern. I know a lot of our sock knitters typically use vanilla sock patterns or patterns that they've developed their own sock recipes out of, which is so smart because once you know how it fits and exactly what you need, or how, say, a family member or friend that you knit for, how they need it to fit, then you can do that and just whip out those socks. I know a lot of our sock knitters have those patterns completely memorized, so it makes it super easy to do. Cindy Titus working on a BBT and a vintage Dye Live Plus Club colorway groove thing. That's so good. Cindy's another one that's got a great eye for color and putting colors together. Luann is working on her coup sweater. She's going to Scotland with us, and I think she's hoping to take this to Scotland. The colorway looks fantastic, and it's going to be just perfect for those cool days in the UK. Cheryl Gouen, she's not a monogamous knitter here. She's making progress on her leaflet shawl also. This too is in a vintage colorway called the Sea Glass, not to be confused with our current Sea Glass, dyed by Terry and Sherry, but she's making definite progress on that. Beautiful, beautiful colorway. Absolutely. So much fun to see all of the progress that you're making. And when you put your colorways in the, or not your colorways, your progress pictures in the yarn to use, it's always great when you're able to add the pattern name, because we do really like to add the pattern names down below in the show notes. It's really helpful because a lot of times what you're knitting inspires someone else to pick up that same pattern. So just like we've talked in the past about kind of going through the projects on Ravelry to see what other people have done with particular patterns, the same thing happens kind of in microcosm in the yarn to use. So it's really helpful to add the pattern names. It's also helpful when you see it, when people do add the pattern names, to not ask below in the comments what the pattern name is when people go and make the time. I think we've all gotten so used to moving so fast on the internet that sometimes we don't read everything in its entirety. I do the same exact thing sometimes. And I'm like, wait, oh, look, they answered that up above and I didn't even see it because I'm running at 100 miles a minute. So anyway, we were just talking about events a moment ago, and I wanted to talk about our very first studio stream, not to be confused with Studio Stream X. You like all the names for all the things? Is it confusing or is it helpful? So our very first studio stream event is the Snowman Needle Felting. I'm very excited about that. This is actually on August 16th, so it's coming up super quick. And we sold out of those seats. I was able to add extra seats and we sold out of it pretty quickly. So this is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to sit around the virtual crafting table and do some needle felting and make this beautiful little snowman. And I love the fact that these particular kits came from a farm with their very own wool from their very own sheep. I love that sort of farm to sweater, or in this case, farm to snowman kind of thing, where these people know their sheep and they know where the wool came from. And then we get to know that as well. So I think that's neat rather than just sort of a mass produced kit. There's always a place for everything, but I thought this was particularly special. This is from Bear Creek Felting, and they have their own flock. So I think that's wonderful. I'm so looking forward to sitting with everybody around the virtual crafting table as we take part in Studio Stream, our very first one. Now, I've made the decision that those videos are going to persist for you for 4 weeks. So 4 weeks from the time that we do it live virtually, the participants will have availability of the recorded video to go back to refer to. So that way it makes it sort of a no risk proposition, because if you sign up and then something happens, you'll absolutely have the chance to go back to it and do it at your leisure. Exactly, Tara. Farm to crafting table goodness. I agree. Totally agree. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So a couple other really quick things that I want to talk about. So our trip to Scotland is fast approaching. We're leaving in September, coming back in October. We're getting down to the wire. So if you're traveling with us to Scotland, I sent out an email this week asking for your flight details. Now, some of you had already provided them, and I appreciate that. I've got those. If you've provided them, you don't have to provide them again. It is helpful to have it like on that form, because that way it's kind of consistent for all the information. It makes it a little easier for me to digest and do with it what I need to do. But no worries. If you've already sent it to me, then I've got it and I will plug it in myself. I know some folks are going significantly early, going to hotels and traveling around the country and then meeting us at the Edinburgh airport. And that's absolutely fine. Some people are staying later. All of those things are wonderful. I just need to have the details, because the CIE tour company takes those flight times, and that is actually how they build in the transfer times from the Edinburgh airport and then again to the airport. Now, there are some limitations to that. Like if your flight arrives at 3 o'clock, that's not going to work for a transfer. You're going to need to meet us where we are. We talked about that a little earlier in the process, but we'll be getting out once all the flight details are gathered. Then I'll be sending out emails to let you know exactly the meetup time at the Edinburgh airport so that you can be there, either having just come in on a flight or meeting us because you've already begun exploring the country either way. And then CIE surprised me a little bit and gave us the great benefit of 2 airport transfers. I just found that out. So typically they provide one, and it's usually really early in the morning because a lot of the flights coming back to the States occur early in the morning. And so you might have to be transferred like at 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. if you're relying on that. And even if your flight isn't till 1 o'clock p.m., or you always have the alternative of getting your own transportation. But CIE this time has decided to once again surprise us, and it was a surprise, and give us 2 transfers back to the airport. So there'll be one really early to catch those earlier flights and then one a little bit later. I don't think it's going to be super late, but it will be a bit later. So if you want to get in on that, you'll be able to. And of course, as I said, you always have the opportunity to get your own transportation if neither of those times sort of fit your plans. So that's available to you as well. So once we get all the flight times in, then I'll be announcing what time those transfers are at so you can make your plans accordingly. And then the second thing that I requested in this email is also very important. It's any allergies or special dietary restrictions. So if you're allergic to peanuts or you're a vegetarian, perhaps, I do ask that you let us know. And the deadline on that is Monday. So if I don't receive an email from you, then I'll assume you don't have any special dietary restrictions. And the way that works is CIE makes all of our vendors aware of your dietary restrictions, but ultimately you are still responsible to check and make sure you don't eat anything that could be detrimental to your health. So keep that in mind. But we do want to make sure the UK is really great, I have found, about offering like gluten-free options, vegetarian options, and all the things. I think some of our previous travelers were a little surprised by how many options there were. But in cases where we have specific vendors, they need to know so that they can build our meal selections around that. And there are quite a few meals included, mostly because we're in some pretty isolated areas for part of the trip. So our vendors, as I said, are getting super excited about having us over. We're being treated to some awesome things. In fact, I don't know if I've mentioned this, at the Solway Woolscapes event, where we're going to be doing a flat woolscape, like a flat needle felting, as opposed to like a 3D needle felting. So this is 3D. The one at Solway Woolscapes will be flat, using vintage or Hebridean wool, I should say. Heritage Hebridean wool is what I should say, not vintage. The sheep aren't old, but their wool's been around a long time. Like the breeds are older. The place that we're going there, they're treating us to a homemade lunch featuring all kinds of Scottish tasties, including Scotch eggs and shortbread and all kinds of good things. So we need to know those things. And of course, we're going to do the same lunch at our Dallinish that we've done before. Janice and Chris are going to create those again for us, those wonderful little boxes of goodness that they create, and they need to know about any dietary restrictions. So if you did not get that email from me, it's kind of a newsletter form. If you didn't get that and you're traveling with us to Scotland, please do send me an email. I'll forward it to you so you can make sure and get all of those details into us as we continue sort of the countdown to our trip, which is happening very, very, very soon. So I'm excited. Jim and I'll be going a little bit early and coming home a little bit later, as we traditionally do, although a little less early and a little less later, because having just moved to Maine, there's still a lot to do here, I have to say. But we're very much looking forward to it. Again, a great time to wear your hand knits. And your swag, I have to say, is coming along quite nicely. So there will be a pattern in your swag designed by Nancy Victorino. Did I just say that? And it's a really fun pattern, and you're getting beautiful yarn in your swag as well as some other goodies. So very excited about that trip. But if you have any questions at all about that, do let me know. You do also mention in your newsletter your ETA, which is sort of your electronic travel authorization to get into the UK, is necessary. We did a whole Zoom conversation about how to do that. If you haven't done it yet, you really need to be doing it now. And of course, your passport should be all up to date. It needs to have an expiration no later than 6 months after our return date of October 2nd or whenever you're returning from the country. So you want to make sure all that's taken care of. You don't want to have any issues with that in traveling at all. So some really important details for our Scotland travelers. All right. Couple other really quick things that I want to mention. We've got some beautiful updates in our little gift shop on our website right now. Some bee inspired things are in there right now. They're also down below. You can do your shopping right here on YouTube. And I've noticed lately some of you are. That's really cool. So there are, Monica is constantly updating our gift shop with some fun things. Maybe you can use them for gifts or swaps, are all sorts of things. So that has been updated for you, some new things, and some of those collaborations that I've mentioned. We've got some upcoming collaborations, none of which I can spill the beans on just yet, but I'm very excited. One of them actually includes an online summit that I will be doing a workshop for. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then we've got some other product collaborations coming up as well. And as soon as I can spill the beans, I will. I have loose lips, but I have to keep to my agreements, of course. I love to spill the tea so much. Speaking of spilling the tea, our Spin Me a Yarn Literary Society, we're having some fun in there. If you're part of that group in our private Facebook group, I got to thinking the other day and I posted that about, if Marcellus had a sweater, what would it be like? And you guys were great at responding. It was a lot of fun. I had to kind of chuckle at some of your responses to Marcellus's sweater. If you're not in the group, Marcellus is a character, a really fun character in our current book that we're doing in Spin Me a Yarn Literary Society. So I'm so looking forward to hearing what everybody thinks about the characters in that. We've had a little back and forth in the group. It's a lot of fun in there to see everybody's kind of what's happening with them. I'm still listening to the book. To be fair, I'm not completely done with it. I do it on audiobook, but it's been a lot of fun. I think it's an interesting book, especially with the addition of Marcellus, because he's such a unique character. If you didn't get into Spin Me a Yarn Literary Society, we will possibly open it up again in a few months. We'll see how that goes. I've heard some clatter about some people wishing that they'd gotten in and been a part of that. So we'll see if we can open that up in the future. So just something to think about. So all kinds of fun stuff happening at Olive Two Ewe Studios. And this, like I mentioned, is our 8th birthday. And I could not be more chuffed. I've been thinking a lot. I didn't have a chance to put together kind of a little video of some highlights of the last 8 years. I might get that done. We'll see how it goes. But it's been a crazy, crazy fun 8 years. And one of the things that I appreciate so much from these 8 years, not only have I grown both personally and professionally, but you all have taught me so much in these 8 years about friendship, about care. I have felt such love and support. Okay, I'm getting a little teary on camera. I'm not good at crying. I'm not good at hugging, and I'm not good at crying in front of people. But you all have taught me so much about support and care and friendship. And I have such great relationships with so many of you and can point to really special memories in my heart, which is one of the reasons that moving out of the state of Florida was a challenge in some ways. But so many of you are also not in the state of Florida. And we're able to connect via video, via virtual events. And the care definitely is palpable across the miles. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I've received. You don't have to be in a room with somebody to be in relationship and to feel that care and to feel that love. We say all the time that fiber friends are the best friends. And I think probably it's fair to say that when I began uttering those words so many years ago, over 8 years ago, they were words to me. I didn't know the true depth of how true that was on such a dynamic level. And over the years, that phrase, fiber friends are the best friends, has come to mean so much. It's so rich. And, I've shared, we've kind of joked and played, poked fun at it over the years. I have synesthesia, which means I see colors And when I hear words or think of words, I see colors, my brain crosses my senses. And it does it in some interesting ways. And when I say fiber friends are the best friends, I now, and it's so interesting to me, I now see a kaleidoscope, like a quick slideshow of color and of people in my life. I can be in any venue and hear that phrase, fiber friends are the best friends, and I see your faces. I see your faces in that because you all, pardon the pun, you, EWE, but YOU as well, have taught me the true meaning of that. And I can point to so many examples. I mean, the whole Novelli debacle and the fun Novelli thing when it showed up, touched by so many of your hands who finished it, so many encouraging cards and letters at both wonderful times in my life and challenging times in my life, including when my mother passed away. And quiet words of support, little gifts in the mail that brightened my day at just the right time, seeing funny and wonderful comments online in the Facebook group or on our personal Facebook pages where so many of us connect. It has meant so, so much to me. And I know so much to you. Judy, hi, Judy is one of them. This group has been so supportive for me personally. And she's taking this opportunity to say thank you. And it's so, so true. So I've grown so much, both professionally and personally, growth that would not have happened without this business, without this love, and without this support. And when I say to you, thank you so much, I truly appreciate you, I mean that from the bottom of my little fibery heart and the bottom of my little fibery feet. And I don't take any of this for granted. None of it for granted at all. So thank you. I hope you get to celebrate as well through our 8th anniversary, our 8th birthday, because you're the one who made it so incredibly possible. And you're the reason that I look forward to the future with a great sense of wonder and excitement and safety, because I know no matter what comes, this group, this community, and these people all are bound together. And it makes it so incredibly special. And it's the reason that I absolutely love everything that I do. I love my job, and it's because of you. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye for the morning. Thank you so much for being here, whether you're watching live or you're watching later. Thank you so much for being here, for your support. Please do give us a thumbs up. It's another way that you can show support. It doesn't cost you anything at all. Please do subscribe to the channel. Share the channel far and wide. It means everything to me when I see it showing up on your personal Facebook pages or in some of the knitting and crocheting groups. And you're like, hey, this is a podcast that I watch. Another way you can support. And it means so very much to me. So have a wonderful week. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you in the Yarn of Use. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.